Yo, I'm your host Suicide, and welcome back to Marginal. On the last episode, we tried to go back to the real world with Rin, and it didn't work out. Now this time it's probably we're gonna see like how Rin managed to stay in this place, supposedly. So let's go in, I guess. We once again return to that place.
冷たかったわね。
Why does she say that it was cold? I don't get it. That they always say that the water is not cold. You don't see it cold. You don't feel it cold. You only feel wet.
ほら、ミコも服を干しなさいよ。
Following her lead, I spread my clothing out on the floor to dry. Apparently, in this place it kept raining and never stopped. Of course, even wearing wet clothes, you wouldn't catch a cold or get sick. Apparently, if you got hurt, it would heal in moments. However, just being in wet clothes felt bad, so she kept her clothes dry.
ねえミコ、ここに座る椅子とか欲しいと思わない？
Yes.
別に私は。そっか、あなたミコだから机に慣れてるんだね。
Saying that, the lady, brazenly sat down cross-legged on the stone floor. However, in contrast with her name, sitting cross-legged while naked was pretty indecent. She seemed to be 5 or 6 years older than me, but I think she was a fairly strange person.
じゃあ、せっかくだからミコも手伝ってよ。はい。ついてきて。今度はそんなに遠くないから。
I really like her voice actor, like her seiyu, I guess. The woman's one, not Rin's. I mean, it's not like I don't like Rin's voice acting, but I mean this one in particular, I really like how she does. It's pretty good. Saying that, she made to run outside while still naked.
その格好で行かれるのですか？お姉さんじゃない、イラつめ様。様はいらないわ。イラつめと呼び捨てにして。あと敬語も不要よ。
She's what? How is that? How does that work? You tell her to not be polite and just.
Okay. それはいいけど、裸で外に出るなんて。
I mean, they are alone in this place, so.
子供が何言ってるのよ。他に誰かいるわけでもなし、女同士なんだから平気でしょ。
Yeah.
手を引っ張らないで。
I was all forcibly pulled outside while naked. It wasn't as if I was fine inside the building, but even if I knew that no one was around, I still felt awkward going outside naked. Yeah, that's probably just because you're not used to, because you get into the mentality that doing that is weird, even if there are no people around. Just it's a thing of just the mentality, even if it doesn't make sense. You feel like it does. It's weird. Our brain is weird. Eventually, we arrived at some place that resembled our riverside. In a world where no matter where you went, there were worn flagstones, it suddenly appeared before us. But to be called a river, it was far too large. You couldn't see the opposite side, upriver or downriver, because of the haze of rain. Just how big could this river be?
ほら、ミコ、そこ見える？そこって、何かある。
Past the haze of rain, there seemed to be something that looked like a bed frame washed up on the shore. But because it had been soaked in water, the frame was so broken that you could see even from far away.
実はね、時々こうやって現世から物が流れてくるのよ。
Lady explained it to me. Apparently, things flow into this place at irregular intervals, but it wasn't all that frequent. There wasn't any rhyme or reason as to what arrived, and apparently most things don't even retain their original shape. Plus, if you left them alone for a few days, they'd get washed away somewhere.
じゃあミコ、これ持って帰りたいから運ぶの手伝って。
I'm just thinking about this, but what if, like, they follow the river upstream? Because somewhere he has to start, right? So if they do actually decide to follow it upstream, at some point they should find the portal that like connects it with the real world, wouldn't they?
これをですか？あの場所まで？だって一人じゃ運ぶの大変だからね。こうやって誰か来た時に手伝ってもらってるのよ。
So that's how they they got the bench under the roof because they were two of them. Okay.
それはわかるけど。それじゃあ持ち上げるわよ。せーの。
On our call, we lifted up the remains of what seemed to be a bed frame. In the middle of the rain, naked, fishing out a broken bed frame. It was already so past the point of embarrassing, it was simply funny.
って引き上げたのはいいけど、思ったよりボロだったわね。
Yep.
昨日見つけた時にはいい拾い物だと思ったのに。どうするんですか？そりゃ諦めるわ。またそのうち別のも来るでしょうから。もし来なかったら？バカねミコ。ここは時間の止まった場所。そして私はここの主。つまり私には永遠の時間があるの。焦る必要なんて全くないのよ。
I see, she probably had a point. In this place you didn't get hungry or sick or old or even die. So of course her way of thinking was fundamentally different from mine. And after a while we once again returned to that place.
あ、ちょうど乾いたみたいよ。
That was quick. Lady started to put on the dried clothing she had spread on the stone floor. When I placed my hands on my own clothing, I felt relieved. Even if I knew that there was no one else around, I couldn't stay calm while naked.
だけどイラつめっていつもあんな風にしているの？あんなの意味がわからないけど、一つだけ教えておいてあげるわ。ここでは何をやっても現世に帰ればすべて忘れているのよ。
How does she know that?
すべて忘れるって。
It wasn't that I didn't believe someone who had been here for so long. But just how could she have known such a thing? Yeah, that's what I was asking myself. How did you know that? If once you leave you can never return, then there shouldn't be a way for her to know.
あなたは現世にいるとき、ここのことを聞いたことある？噂話でも。
Oh, right. That's a pretty good reason.
神隠しや山隠しはあるけど、こんな雨の世界は聞いたことがない。じゃあ、それが回答よ。そうか。
That's a pretty smart way of thinking. I finally understood. Those who are here, except her, will soon be sent back to the real world. If there were any memories of this place, then it wouldn't be strange if word spread, or at least rumors. And since I had never once heard of such a place, then it was natural to think that visitors must lose their memories.
でもだったら
What's the point
ここ
then?
から出た人が本当に現世に帰っているかわからないんじゃ。
Potentially, they could just die like that and go to the afterlife.
それについては私にもわからないわ。じゃあ
That's a good point.
どうしてそう言い切れるの？それは
For some reason, Lady fell silent at that question. Maybe it was hard to say, but she seemed a bit different from her usual self. She fell silent and gazed at the rainy scenery. No, she seemed to be gazing at something beyond that. As I suspected, she knew something. She was deliberately hiding something from me. Eventually, her gaze returned to me and she started speaking in a normal way.
信じるしかないでしょ。私が初めて来た時からそう伝え続けられてきたことだし。
A person before Lady?
そもそもイラつめってここにどれくらいいるの？いきなり難しい質問しないでよ。子供のくせに。子供関係ないわよ。それに昨日数十人と会ったって言ったけど本当なの？ええ、嘘じゃないわ。ここにいたんじゃ外の様子も詳しくはわからないけど、でも時折ここに来た人間と話をして現世の年月もだいたい把握しているつもりよ。
Saying that, she straightened up proudly. Even with just a rough idea, I'm sure she had a fair sense of things. And you might even be able to know what age and year it is from what floats in on the river.
ちなみに10人ほど前に来たやつは最悪だったわ。最悪ってここに残ろうとしたの？それもあるけどむさ苦しい若い男だったのよ。男の人も来るの？
Yeah, why are you so surprised?
そりゃ当然よ。老若男女何の規則性もないしやってくる感覚だってバラバラよ。
So that's how it was. Thinking about it, she had said that there was no commonality between the things that float on the river. It might be the same thing with people. But in a place with no one else, being alone with just a man, that's just horrible.
いやー、あの時は四六時中犯されまくって大変だった。
Oh, that's a pretty heavy thing to drop just like that.
そうですか。
Awkward. Without thinking, I tried a weak laugh with her.
しかも最後にはここに残るとか言い出してね。無理だって言っても聞かないし。それでどうしたんですか？そりゃ殺しても死なないから手足をちぎって出口に放り込んだのよ。
Oh. Oh. Oh, okay. That's how you're gonna go.
そのくらいの覚悟がないとここにずっといることはできないわよ。
How exactly did you cut them though? Didn't seem to be like that many tools that allowed you to do that. And there she once again lost the sunny face she had been wearing. I had no idea just how long Lady had spent in this place. However, it was at least a few years. No, she could even have spent decades here all alone. Next morning. Today the rain was also falling. I had no idea who, at what time or for what purpose created this place. This music is good. Most likely, not even Lady knew the truth herself. But if someone who called herself the mistress of the rainy world said she didn't know, then maybe no one knew.
そうね。わからないわね。 この私をもってしても。
Before I could speak, her voice came. Words like she could clearly see what I was thinking. When I came here, I was told it was because she was experiencing dealing with the same questions, but now it wasn't that kind of situation.
今のはもしかして。ええ、巫女の考えを読んだのよ。考えを。実はそれくらい簡単にできるのよね、私には。でも以前に神の使いじゃないって。もちろん。でも似たようなことはできるかもね。
Saying just that, she stretched her hand outside to the rain. And as I was thinking, what will she do? Water? The rain was moving as if it were alive.
それは一体。
Is she a water bender?
水を操っているのよ。
She said it simply, as if it were normal. To begin with, I didn't understand what she meant by controlling water, but the thing freely moving in front of me was proof of that.
ここには雨と水しかないからね。気づいたらできるようになってたのよ。ま、すでに普通の人間ではないわね。
Lady laughed cheerfully. Certainly this wasn't something a normal human could imitate. She could read people's thoughts, move and control things so supernaturally. It seemed like she had already surpassed the realm of humanity. Maybe she understood the meaning of this place. No, even if she didn't have a clear answer, I had the feeling that she's grasped the rough sense of it. Then why is it that she hasn't told me?
その回答はいつか私が現世に戻った時ね。記憶がなくなるのに。伊達にこの世界の主を名乗ってるわけじゃないのよ。ああ、でも巫女はここでの記憶も消えてあっさり死んで終わりよ。
Oh, cause she knows that the situation that Rin was in. Hearing the word death, I thought about what has happened to me. A sacrifice for an unfair atonement. My entire life was supposed to be for that purpose. My gentle sister had, without once using her voice, had her life ended. And yet, with the shrine lost and being taken to this mysterious place, there were just things I didn't understand. Night. Drops of water spilled from the completely dark sky. In the only place in this world where you could avoid the rain, we again spent the night. I had stretched my body out on the stone floor. Next to me, Lady was lying on her back in the same way. From the explanation I heard previously, I could be here for 3 days, and today was the night of the second day. So once the night ends, I would probably be going back.
ねえ、ミコ、起きてる？
In the absolute darkness, her voice whispered over.
どうかしたの？まだ帰る気にならない？できれば明日には帰ってくれると助かるんだけど。一応数日ってことでもだいたい3日くらいだと思うから。やっぱり帰らないとダメ。そういう作りになってるからね。ここって一人しか入れない世界なのよ。
Lady was speaking somewhat seriously. While listening to her words, I had a number of thoughts. If I said I didn't want to, would I have my arms and legs torn off and thrown in the exit?
バカね。あなたにそんなことしないわ。ただ、おとなしく帰ってほしいだけよ。ありがとう。
Reading my thoughts, she answered for me. I was sure Lady could do that much if she wanted. Plus, for someone as weak as myself, even if I weren't sleeping, should be able to force me back without using any strange powers. And yet, she said that she wouldn't do that. I felt that was what she really thought. I guess I'll wind up going back. It's not that I wanted to be here forever, but there was just one thing that worried me. It was the atonement. For my part, I had thought that I had already broken the atonement. Upon coming here, I had broken my silence, and after that I had sealed my words away. But after my experiences these past 2 days, my confidence was wavering. Even if I had to go back, I wanted to confirm that. For someone who had been here so long, like Lady, she might know.
いいわよ。大抵のことなら知ってるはずよ。
And apparently, once again, reading my thoughts, she answered before I could speak.
例えばだけど、もし何年間も何かしちゃダメという決まりがあったとして、この場所でそれを破った場合にも役をたがえたことになるの？ミコはもう少し具体的に言って。なんなら考えてくれてもいいわよ。勝手に思考を読むから。社の役で長い間声を出せない。もしかしてそれって爆樹の木のこと？
Oh, she knows about
爆
it.
樹？
She replied with an unfamiliar phrase. I'd only begun to explain myself when she interrupted.
333年と3ヶ月と3日、言葉を発してはいけない。違った。どうしてそれを？そりゃ知ってるわよ。伊達に長生きしてないからね。ちなみにそれって神への不信の償いの儀式よ。
I didn't know that. I had never heard that name before at the shrine, and just vaguely had that role pushed upon me.
まあ、大体理解したわ。今時そんな古臭い儀式を続けていたことには驚いたけどね。でも私たちの社では今でもやってたから。それでミコ、その職を抗うための見栄だったんでしょ。うん。
It seemed like Lady saw through everything. She probably didn't even have to read my thoughts. And so, as if preparing myself for my fate, I told her everything. No, honestly, I might have just wanted someone to listen. About how I had been raised as a priestess for as long as I could remember. About how I had a kind older sister. About how she had been killed, how I was made to follow after her. And about how the shrine had been raised, how I ran away, came to the edge of death, and the next thing I realized was I was here.
そう。ミコも大変だったんだね。その年でひどい目になって。
Saying that, she patted my head. That kind of gesture was like my sister's, and before I knew it, I was about to cry.
イラつめ、私の気がかりは一つだけ。もう職は途切れたの？それとも時の止まったこの場所では無効？つまり現世に帰るとまだ続いているの？それは。
For some reason, Lady fell silent at my question. For my part, I had no regrets about going back to the real world. Even if I were fated to die upon returning, I had been resigned that there was nothing that could be done. However, I couldn't forgive that the atonement would still continue. If that atonement were to continue, and I returned to the real world, then I would forget about what happened here. Oh. Right. Because she would forget she would continue to do that. Meaning that without knowing anything, I would continue with the atonement. And I would probably die from hunger and cold shortly after returning. If that atonement were to end either way, then I wanted to break it on my own free will. As someone powerless, I wanted to at least resist in that way.
ミコ、おそらく職は切れているわ。
After thinking for a while, Lady whispered an answer.
本当に？ええ。たとえ時の止まった場所とはいえ、声を出した以上、義は成立しないはずよ。わかった。ありがとう、イラツメ。
Then I would have no regrets. Even if I were to return to the real world and quickly die, I wouldn't mind. That's right, I had sworn it in my heart.
神などいない。仮にいても、そのようなものを神とは認めない。もし神を名乗る者がいて、私に罰を与えるというならば、好きなだけ与えるがいい。その受けた罰の分だけ、理不尽な運命を、姉の無念を、私の無念をも合わせ、いつしか呪いへと変えてみせよう。ニコ、今あなた良くないことを考えているわね。やめなさい。神に囚われるのは私だけで十分よ。
Oh. Oh. This game actually has gotten a really... It's gotten really dark.
イラツメ、何を言ってるの？別に気にしないで。あなたの人生よ。好きにすればいいわ。
Just saying that, she once again lay down and slept. Really, it's been dark for quite a bit, 'cause the whole priestess thing, but it's getting darker and darker as time goes on. I did not expect this when I got into this game. Even Lady doesn't understand. Our regrets, no one understood. The next morning, as always, there was endless rain and that pure white sky. With the sound of the gently falling rain outside, I rubbed my still slightly sleepy eyes and got up. Today, I go back to my own world. It wasn't that I had no regrets, but for the biggest one, I had been told that the atonement has been broken. If so, then that alone was enough. Originally, I should have died deep in the wintry mountains, and on top of that, I would return, lose my memory, and continue the atonement without knowing anything that happened here.
おはよう、ミコ。帰る用意はできた？うん。と言っても、特に何もないから。ま、そうよね。どうせ死にに帰るようなもんだし。そうだよね。
I wound up replying with a laugh. Not even I really understood why. It might have been because, more than dying, I didn't want to continue living in that world.
何よ。あなたもそんな顔できるんじゃないの？何が？だって、いつも不機嫌そうにばっかりして、まだ子供だってのに妙に冷めてるし。
I mean, you heard what she's been through, so it's not that weird the way she acts. Being told that, I had nothing to respond with. I had known this myself, but had certainly never been told directly to my face.
ねえ、私の声って変じゃない？ん？その可愛げのないボソボソした物言いのこと？うん。冗談よ、冗談。そういうのもいいんじゃない？本当に？ええ。それに、もしこれからもさっきみたいに笑えるのなら教えてあげてもいいわよ。教えるって何を？それにはまず例の場所に行かないことにはね。
Saying that, and with a light hope, Lady went outside, I also followed her with a somewhat light air. As always, rain fell. From the completely white sky, small droplets struck my body. In the midst of that, the two of us walked while jumping over the puddles formed on the flagstones. Occasionally, when she stepped on one of the stone's fragments scattered on the ground, she'd make a big show of it. As always, she really is a very cheerful and fun person. Lady who called herself the mistress of this world and wielder of mysterious powers. Soon we were going to part, and she was going to once again be alone, and yet she didn't appear to mind that much. Alone? I had a sudden question. I had recalled something she had said earlier, because someone told her stuff and then she became the mistress of this world. She said that, She said that if I could laugh like this from now on, she would tell me something. Just what would she tell me? And I also wondered what the from now on part meant. Cause, she's going to go back in reinstead. From now on or not, I was going to go back to the real world and then likely die. I was supposed to have nothing to do with futures or from now on. As I was pondering that, Lady murmured,
ニコ、あなた今でもここにいたい？どうしたの突然？黙って聞きなさい。もしここに留まりたいなら方法がないわけじゃないのよ。もしかしてそれがさっき言った教えるってこと？本来は私だけなんだけどね。ってほら見えてきたわ。
Saying that, she pointed at the hole. It was that hole that I had entered here from the real world. And also the exit I would use to return. Just like when I saw it the other day, there was a hole in the flagstones.
どうするの？なんなら残る方法を教えてあげてもいいわよ。
Of course, I didn't want to refuse. If anything, going back like this would just meant dying.
でも私、これからも笑顔で笑える自信なんてないよ。ま、そのうちにおいおいとなれればいいのよ。なんたって時間は無限にあるんだから。じゃあ最初にあなたに嘘を言ってたことを打ち明けるわ。嘘？数日もすれば強制的に返されるって言ったけど、あれは少し嘘だったの。
Oh. Oh.
じゃあどうしてここに人がいないの？だから少しだけ嘘なのよ。強制的に返されるのは本当。3日ほど猶予があるのも本当。ただし返されるのは先に来た順番なのよ。
Oh. That's why she was like Rin was so concerned about him going back. The one who arrived here first? From what she had explained before, it didn't make sense. If that were true, then why was Lady still here? She had even said that up until now, few tens of people had come. If that was how things worked, she should have been the one that was sent back long ago.
ニコ、理解できた？つまりあなたには本当のことを打ち明けたけど、今まで私は来る人をずっと騙してさっさと送り返していたのよ。まあそれでも残ろうとする相手は寝てる間に切り刻むか私の術で無理やり追い出すけどね。
Hearing that, I finally understood. Lady was supposed to be sent back, but before that happened, she had sent back the ones that came after her. Sometimes by trickery, sometimes by force.
ねえイラツメ、じゃあ一つだけ教えて。いいわよ、何でも聞いてくれて。どうしてそのことを私に教えてくれたの？無限に生きることだって可能なのに。
I was sure that my logic was sound. Lady herself had most likely lived for many years here like this.
すでに私は人を超えているからよ。神ではないけど仙人かもしれないわね。
Lady's words were somewhat serious. I had no idea how long she had spent here, but the words surpassed humans were convincing.
あと、少し情も移ったみたいね、あなたに。私に？で、何を？
When I looked, Lady was putting one foot into my exit. Hearing all this, I finally realized. Lady was trying to go back to the real world, and she was telling me how her method worked. How if I did as she did, I could stay here forever.
ついでに最後にもう一つだけ嘘の告白をするわ。あなたが通った333年の食のことよ。あれ、おそらくまだ続いているわよ。
Oh, she said that because she read her mind and thought that saying that was about like, I don't know, for like to cheer her up, I think.
でももう切れたはずだったんじゃ。残念だけどここじゃ何をやっても現世の律は無効よ。伊達に長年生きてないわ。私が言うんだから間違いないわよ。
Then even now that sacrifice is continuing, then if I were to go back like this, then I will just die for nothing?
まあこれもあなたに譲ろうと思った一因なんだけどね。この雨の世界の主の座を。雨の世界の主。でもミコ、先に断っておくけど、ここに未来はないわよ。永遠に終わることのない今があるだけ。あ、待って、まだあなたには聞きたいことがあるの。
As if my pleas for her to stop were unearthed, Lady seemed to give her whole body to the exit hole.
運が良ければまた会えるわ。続きはその時にでもね。
With those final words, she disappeared from this world.
いつ
In a world with no one else, I was being rained upon. My exit hole had completely disappeared. The rain began to fall upon the flagstones where the hole was. Within rain that wouldn't end, there was just one person. Flagstones that stretched forever, a pure white sky.
この状態こそが本来のここの姿なのだろう。
And my whisper, without anyone making a reply, was erased by the rain. 10 years later. It was probably about that much, I'm not sure. For the first few years, I would attach a date whenever the morning came, but eventually I got confused and stopped. And in that time, no one came here. Thinking about it, I should have become 20, and oddly enough, I would have been the same age as my sister when she died.
でも少しも変わっていない。
My height and hair were exactly like when I came here at 10. Nothing had changed.
一体どのくらいの感覚でここに人は来るのだろう。
Just how long was it? Lady had said that it was irregular and entirely without rhyme or reason, but has there ever been such a large gap in visitors? Or was it normal that one would only come after every few decades? Then, if Lady had sent back a few tens of people, Just for how long had she lived here? She had said at the time that I would one day learn, but it seemed that that was a ways ahead.
雨の世界の主、無限に続くたった一人しかいない世界の主。
For just how long will I be on this throne? Okay, so that's how she got she got to remain in this world, but how did she manage to actually stay for so long? That I mean, the other girl was able to force people back if they didn't want to, but how about Rin? She doesn't have any power nor physical strength because she's just a child. So, was the protagonist the first person that she encountered? Or something like that? Well, anyway, we're going to understand this probably in the next few episodes, but this is a really good game. Usually I'm not really into... I don't mind when visual novel have no choices, but I usually prefer to play ones with choices and stuff. But in this game's case, which has a really good storyline or anything like that, pretty good characters, you know, development, it's just I think that it's better without choices, because that way it can narrate the way and get to a point of the story without having to, you know, modify it to give room to choices, and then it keeps getting like more standard as it goes on, just for the sake of having choices. Instead, this is a linear plotline and it works really well, so I'm glad about it. Well, that's all that I had for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I've been your host Suicide, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.